Good morning, everyone. My name is Gail Mercer, and today we are going to be doing overcoming trading psychological issues using Nadex binary options. Now, I would like to take for everyone to take a moment to read the risk disclaimer. Even though we are not going to be taking trades today or showing trades today, I do want you to know that trading is risky and you should never trade with money you cannot afford to lose. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds to read over the disclaimer and make sure everyone is advised of this. And today is going to be kind of a tough presentation for a lot of people, but it's one that is critical to trading. Now, before we get started, for those of you that do not know who I am, my name is Gail Mercer. I've been trading for a little over 15 years now. I started out with a company that actually programmed indicators for different platforms, but I just fell in love with price bars. I specialize in price action, volume analysis, and divergence using leading indicators. I write for stocks and commodities a lot throughout the year. I've also been a presenter at Traders World, Top Shelf, Traders Expo, Traders World Online Expo, and the Wyckoff Conference, which specializes in volume. I'm also the author of Trading Nadex Binary Options, Keeping It Simple Strategies. Now, one of the most important aspects in trading is the conversations that we have with ourselves. One of the reasons for this is because just about any other job you have, when you get upset, you can go vent to your coworkers. Well, with trading, typically you're trading by yourself, so the only conversations that you actually have are the ones with yourself. Now, this isn't just about positive thinking. Positive thinking is a big portion of what we will be doing today, but it's also about the choices that you make, okay? Now, choices begin with how we think of ourselves and our situation. For example, do you ever think you are a victim of the markets, of your indicators, of your mentor, or do you think of yourself as a survivor? Okay, in other words, you survived the loss, okay? Can you pick yourself up after that and continue on your journey? And that's really critical in trading because everyone knows you might have some winning trades, but it's how you handle the losers that's going to be critical to your trading. Now, why is this so important? Well, according to Psychology Today, the conscious mind is the mental processing that we think about, that we talk about. It's our sensations, our perceptions of what's going on, our memories, our feelings, our fantasies. But the subconscious mind is the reservoir of those feelings, the thoughts, the urges, and the memories that are outside of the conscious mind. Now, most of the things that happen in the subconscious mind are absolutely unconscious. They're unacceptable. They're unpleasant. Our brain is typically considered a negative assessment machine, okay? Now, it is considered to be the builder, and it controls all of the body functions. In other words, when we breathe, we don't necessarily think about it, but our subconscious mind is performing the action. It's telling us, hey, we need to breathe without us even knowing it. Your conscious mind will feed everything to the subconscious. And the subconscious mind acts as your servant. I bet you didn't know you had a servant there. Now, the subconscious does not have the power to make decisions. It only performs. And it performs whatever we feed it. That's why it's so critical. So this is sort of like a visual for you to understand. Your conscious thought might be, I can't be profitable in trading. Well, remember, the conscious mind is the boss, okay? And it's going to feed down to the subconscious level, which is your servant, so you're going to lose all your trades. And without knowing it, this is what you are creating. That's the reason being aware of this is so critical. The power of the mind is one of the most fascinating things, I think, in our universe. What we think, what we believe, that's what will happen. Now, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but it will occur sometime in the future. So just take a minute and think about some of the thoughts in your trading day that occur to you. Well, most of us, it's, I'm a loser. Oh my God, I just lost $1,000. These markets are crazy. I am a total failure, okay? These are just typical thoughts within a trading day. Now, words have power. We all know this. We have all been hurt by words. And, you know, once you get hurt, it's always there in your mind. Words you think can hurt you. Words that you say out loud can hurt. Words that you say to others have the power to either make someone feel good or make someone feel bad. Words you agree with can actually make you feel empowered to go on. In essence, you are what you think you are. Now, everyday conversations that we have in trading, and the newer you are, the more conversations you're going to have actually. Indicators just don't work. Trading is just too hard. I can't do it. I don't understand it. I'm a failure. All of these are negative assessments that we are feeding down into our subconscious mind. Now, if we can change the output, we can change the outcomes. That takes changing your internal conversation, changing your external conversations, and that changes your future because it changes what you believe. The first step in becoming aware of what you are doing in your mind is really monitoring your conversation with others and with yourself. It's frequently called mindfulness. Now, to implement this, you need to keep a pen and pad by you, and every time you catch yourself thinking negatively, write it down. Don't worry about changing it or anything at this point. You are becoming mindful that you are having these thoughts. In other words, you're becoming conscious of how you think. That's the first step. There's no magical time frame for this. You know, some people it will take a week, some people will take a month, but it's becoming aware of your word habits, and it's all about words. The second step in this is that now that you are conscious, now that you are aware of your word behaviors, your thoughts, the words that you use every day when you're trading, you can start to change them. You can change the I can't do this to I can do this. Every time you find yourself forming a negative statement, change it to a positive statement. Now, this does take a lot of work, and sometimes you'll fail, okay? You don't worry about it. You just simply pick yourself back up and continue on the same path. Now, step 3 is realizing that fears are natural, but they should not control the outcome. And fears are the most powerful to overcome. Typically, it is through our failures that we often succeed. For example, personally, I failed to be able to read volume for the first 5 years of my trading. It quite frankly just didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't see what others could see in it. And I had just about given up, but I kept going back to it. I knew there was something there that I could improve my trading if I just could figure it out. So I actually read everything that I could on volume. I went back to the Wyckoff books and studied them very intensely. And now it's just like, I don't know why I couldn't see it to begin with, okay? But it was all of my failures that led me into understanding it in the end. The fact that I didn't give up on it, that I continued. You know, I would lay it down for a month or two, and then I'd pick it back up. And then I'd study it again, and then I'd lay it back down again. But it was that persistence that actually paid off in the long run. Now, the other thing is whether you see it as a problem or whether you see it as an opportunity. You know, I didn't see the volume as a problem. I saw it as an opportunity to improve my trading, okay? If I could improve my trading, then I could potentially make more money or eliminate some of the losses, okay? So, you know, in essence, if I would persist in doing this, I would benefit from the outcome, okay? Now, I didn't see it as a negative. I didn't see it as a problem. I saw it as an opportunity to expand my knowledge and improve what I was already doing. Your focus point should be decide exactly what it is that you want, okay? Then focus on the process to get there, okay? In other words, I wanted to be able to read volume. I wanted to see the buyers and the sellers and how that correlated to price movement. Well, what did I need to do to get there? I had to understand what others were seeing that I was blinded to. Okay, I wanted to be a profitable trader. All right, in order to do that, I need to understand the indicators that are on my charts. Okay, I need to understand the charts, you know, how to read a higher time frame versus a lower time frame. When can I trade the lower time frame against the higher time frame or vice versa? Okay. And, you know, what was an entry for me? You know, you can't just enter at any given point. You have to have criteria. What was my criteria that said this may be a good trade? Okay, that's where I needed a plan that was very specific to what my entries were, to what my exits were, to how could I manage a trade that, hey, at this point in time, I thought it was going to go in my direction, but now it looks like it's going to go against me. I need specific criteria, because if you don't have it, then you're leaving your mind to play games on you, okay? And also, you need to learn how to better utilize your trading platform. Now, this is, I know, a big one for new traders. I work with a lot of new traders, and the first thing they'll do is they'll say, well, I don't know how to, okay? If you are asking the question, or you have the question, I don't know how to, then you need to answer that. You need to figure out, okay, how do I set profit targets? How do I enter the trade? How do I put a technical analysis indicator on my chart? Okay? Routines are extremely important. They allow us to form new habits to achieve our goals. You know, I get up at the same time every day, and I have for the last 30 years, okay? I have a process that I do prior to my trading, okay? I have already marked my charts. I've reviewed all of my time frames. I've reviewed the indicators. What are they trying to tell me is going to happen? Where do I think price is going to go? Okay. Have you drawn the lines to identify the great areas of trades? You know, this is something that I teach all the time. If you can't anticipate where that price is going, you probably should not be in that trade. But this is a routine that I go through every day so that, you know, there's no different day for me. It's just the same thing day in and day out. Because I'm consistently doing the same thing, you may get bored, but it develops great habits, okay? I am very persistent in achieving any of my goals. You know, my mom once said that I was like a pit bull. Once I sunk my teeth into something, I was not going to let go. And that's really very true of my personality. You know, even as a mentor, I'm always looking for new ways to present the same thing because people understand things differently. You know, we have auditory, visual, kinesthetic learners, and most traders are actually kinesthetic learners. So you have to present it in all three ways so that no matter what type of learner you have, they can understand it, okay? And routines also help you to break down the big picture, I want to be a successful trader, into very small, manageable tasks. And it allows you to see and measure progress. You know, if you just take the phrase, I want to be a successful trader, well, that's the big picture. What does it take to get there? That's the small, manageable task, okay? You also associate with positive traders and positive people around you, okay? If your group leader is negatively charged, chances are your trading will be negatively charged, okay? The same reason we want our children to be in the right peer group, we also inherit the characteristics of those that we associate with. You know, if you really believe the market makers are conspiring against the retail trader, that's going to make you second guess every single entry, because every time you look at an entry, it's like, well, the market makers are just faking me out, and if I go this direction, they're going to get me. You know, it really puts you into a bad mindset. You know, same thing, pros are running stops, okay? Well, you know, that causes you to increase your stop, which only causes more losses. You know, market makers are hiding their true intentions. You know, that's very negatively charged. How's that going to make you think when you're trying to take a trade? It's going to make you, you know, slightly paranoid. What chance do you have against these? Okay? It's everything, everyone is out to get you. How do you fight that? Okay? Well, I don't think that way. You know, for me, it's about doing the same thing the same way every day. Most of you, when you start doing step one of the exercise, this is what's going to be on your notepad, okay? I can't do it. I always take profits early. I don't understand. I'm not a trader. I always lose. I always panic. I see the entry too late. I will never be good at this. I'm never right in the market. And what you need to do is change it to positive charged words. I can do it. I am continuously improving my entries. I am a profitable trader. I am a calm, patient trader. I am disciplined. I am trained to use my indicators to identify setups. I execute my trades with precision. I am a professional trader. I will never lose faith in my indicators or my setups. Fear is a big issue for most traders, okay? And it's overwhelming because we're dealing with money, and, you know, nobody wants to lose money. It, you know, causes us to be terrified of pulling a trigger because we're going to lose money, okay? Fear is a distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, whether the threat's real or imagined, the feeling or condition of being afraid. Courage is the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, pain, without fear, with bravery. Now, according to the commander, who has a PhD and he's a Naval Special Warfare Command psychologist, there's really nothing good or bad, only thinking that makes it so. You have to repeat an action, any action, over and over with the knowledge that you are unlearning the bad memory. A great example of fear controlling you is actually, I use any stretch of the imagination, but I no longer freak out over. Okay, can everyone still hear me? Okay. Now I don't like snakes, but I would not freak out over one. Can everyone hear me now? Okay. Now, how did I overcome that? I actually made myself, to me, it's knowledge, okay? I educated myself about snakes. I read articles on snakes. I looked up snakes, looked up different variations of snakes in my area, and actually would watch movies that had snakes in it, and got to the point where, you know, I don't like them, but it doesn't make me turn off the TV anymore. I would probably still run if I saw one, but I don't panic now. And before I did, I would have a major panic attack. Now, courage is the ability to admit the feelings of fear, but not allow the fear to control your actions. And that was why I did the snake exercise. I was not going to let my fear of snakes control what I did. Now, here's another example. When I do my live trading rooms, I have extreme feelings of fear. You know, if I take a bad trade in front of, you know, 100 people, you think a losing trade's bad? It's just you? Wait till you do it in front of 100 people, okay? You know, I always worry about people taking trades in the room and losing money because of my mistake. Now, grant you, they're not supposed to do that, and I tell them not to, but sometimes people do what you tell them not to do. I get extremely embarrassed when I have a losing trade, you know. Again, not something anybody wants to go through, okay? But the difference is I have the courage to admit I have these feelings of fear, but I don't let it control me. I still get up the next day and do the trading room, okay? I face my fear, I acknowledge it, but then I do what I need to do. Now, step 3, write affirmations that you repeat to yourself. Now, the best time to actually repeat these to yourself is before you get out of bed in the morning and right before you go to sleep at night. Don't write 100 affirmations. Start small. You know, take 5, okay? Start there. Take the 5 biggest negative thoughts that you have that affect your trading, turn them into a positive statement, and start there. You have to be able to memorize them, so don't make them into a dissertation, okay? They should be short, simple, and concise, okay? Post them wherever you are. My office is filled with positive thoughts, positive affirmations, pictures that just create a sense of peace for me, okay? Remember, repetition is your friend. Anytime you feel overwhelmed with really negative thoughts, just start repeating your affirmations. And you also have to believe it, okay? There is a difference between practicing the concept of positive thinking and living with it, okay? I am a precision entry and exit trader. Well, that's hard to believe when, you know, you don't even know what you're doing and you're probably losing more than you're making, okay? But by practicing the statement every day, you are allowing yourself to feel the privilege of being a precision trader. Then your mind actually begins to believe it. What would it feel like to be a precision trader that executed your trades perfectly in accordance with your trading plan? Feel it, embrace it, okay? Sometimes, even if we say it, we don't actually believe it, but the subconscious mind will take the belief, not the words. Remember, it has no emotional attachments, okay? It can't decide, okay, she's saying this, but she doesn't really believe it, so I'm going to do the opposite. It doesn't have that power, okay? So whatever you tell it, it takes as law, and it actually will make it happen. This is where we play on the power of words, okay? For example, instead of saying I'm a profitable trader, change it to I am improving in my trading every day. Also, find a picture that you can use to implant on your brain. It's a visual stimulation, okay, of what it would be like or feel like to be a profitable trader. Look at the picture. Spend 5-10 minutes. Look at the picture. Be in the moment, like that's really you, and you are really feeling what it's like to be a successful trader, okay? You get so much freedom. You can literally go anywhere in the world, and as long as you have your laptop, you got your business. I mean, it is really worth the effort that you're going to put into it. Does it work? Okay, this is a big question that everybody has. And my son joined the Army, it's been about 2 years ago, and I was really surprised that they incorporated the same thing that I'm telling you into the soldier's creed. I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined, physically, mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills. I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, destroy the enemies of the United States in close combat. I am a guardian of freedom in the American way of life. I am an American soldier. Now notice that they end with the same statement that they begin with, okay? And I want, you know, think about this, especially if you're in the United States. They take kids like my son that could not even make his bed up or clean his room, and they made him into a soldier. I mean, that to me amazed me in and of itself. Okay, he is very organized now, makes his bed, has everything organized in such a way that I'm just like, what did they do with my son? Okay, but they changed him for the good. Okay, now this is the Trader's Creed, and it's just something that I did when my son was in boot camp, and I saw the Soldier's Creed. I said, well, we need to have a Trader's Creed. Okay, I am a winning trader. I will never accept defeat. Now, I live that statement every day. I am fearless. I will never lose faith in my indicators or trade setups. I am a calm and efficient trader. Anybody that's ever been in my lab trading room knows that statement is extremely true. I execute my trades with precision, entries in, exits. I am continuously improving my trade entries in exits. I always maintain my mental discipline. I accept the profits that the markets are giving. I am a professional trader. I am a winning trader. Now, how long does this change take? Well, the minimum to effect change is 63 days of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Boot camp is actually 70 days. Actual training is 63. 7 days are allocated for transitioning, issuing equipment, and transporting. Okay? Now remember, this is 63 days to become a soldier where you are living, thinking, sleeping, and eating the Army way. Okay? So for traders, I think it's more along the lines of 6 months to a year. Okay? Immerse yourself in books and shows that are positive. You know, the power of the subconscious mind, the power of thought, the secret revealed, law of attraction, the secret daily teachings, 30 laws of attraction practical exercises, the power of your subconscious mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy, the law of attraction, the secret, TED Talks is another one you can actually add to it. I do a lot of the TED Talks, and they have really good, positive talks on there. Visualization boards will help. They actually represent what you want to achieve. Images of how you attract money, you know. This is another one. Some people, whether they know it or not, they might have a negative connotation with receiving money, okay? You know, buckets of money versus a pipeline coming to you. You know, the pipeline would give you an overabundance where buckets of money is just barely enough to make it. How do you visualize, you know, receiving that money? Is it through buckets or is it through a pipeline? Is that inner belief that you have that you need to examine and see if it works for you? You know, all of you here have probably, just a moment please. I apologize for that. It was, yes, it was someone at my door. I apologize for that. Okay. Now, today you do have a choice, okay? You can either continue along the path and see if it changes on your own. You can take control of the path and effect the change that you want, or why not give it a try, okay? Is your current path producing the results that you want? What have you got to lose by trying it, even for 30 days. What is there to lose? Now, you can visit my website at tradershelpdesk.com. You can also go to the blog. I just uploaded a tool that will help you effect this change. In fact, if I bring up the blog real quick, I can show you where to go to download it. And it's very simple. You do it every day. And it's a PDF. You can print it out. And it just helps keep focus. So this is the blog. And if you go to Daily Success Tools for Traders, it's actually there, and you can download it. It says download the free tool. And all it is you have pre-trading exercises where you list your affirmations. And then, you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, a place for the date. And these are just simple check boxes that okay, I feel good and I'm in full control of my thoughts and actions. True or false, okay? Just for today, I will allow the charts to dictate my entries in accordance with my trading plan. If you cannot check that, well, you need to say, okay, what's preventing me, okay, from doing that? I will remain conscious and aware of my thought processes and emotions during and after my trades. I have a defined entry, risk limit, and profit-taking methodology. I will not allow fear or doubt to control my trading activities today. Then you also have trading skills or goals to focus on today. You have today I am most thankful for. And this is just to give you how sometimes when you give or when you're appreciative of something, you feel good inside, So, find something that makes you feel good that you've done and say, hey, I'm really glad I did this. I'm thankful I did this, okay? And then during the trading and post-trading exercises, monitor the negative thoughts or emotions that undermined it. In other words, you allowed them to take control, okay? And then for anything that you list up here, come back and say, okay, this is how I can overcome that, okay? And this will help you to become aware of what's happening around you, okay, and actually make it where you can change it. Now, if anyone does have any questions about the process or you need to contact me, my email is gm@tradershelpdesk.com and my phone number is 336-263-0122. Now, let's answer some of the questions that we got